Hello, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Red and Blue Sessions, the podcast where football passion meets fierce rivalry. I'm Corey, your resident Liverpool fan, basking in the glory of our team's dominance. Well, most of the time.
And I'm Liam, the proud, long-suffering Everton fan, here to bring some balance to Corey's eternal optimism.
Together, we'll dive into the latest football news, transfer gossip, and all the drama that makes the beautiful game so addictive. From Merseyside debates to the biggest stories across the leagues, expert banter, bold opinions, and plenty of laughs along the way.
Whether you're red, a blue, or just love football, this is the podcast for you.
But before we dive headfirst into this week's debate, you can get involved in the Red and Blue Sessions too.
That's right, whether you want to share your thoughts on whatever nonsense Corey may be sprouting this week, or even suggest a topic for us to argue about. Sorry, I mean to discuss. We want to hear from you.
Yes, that's right. You can send your emails to the redandbluesessions@gmail.com or slide into our DMs on social media. Go on, hit us with your hot takes. Think Liverpool's the greatest club in the world? Tell me.
Or, if you're more sensible and know Everton are on the rise, I'll personally reply to your email with a virtual handshake.
Virtual handshake? Mate, the only rise Everton's making is in fans' blood pressure.
See, you need to get involved, just keep them in check. So email us, theredandbluesessions@gmail.com. Let's hear what you've got.
But just remember, Red's opinions are slightly more valid.
Nah, ignore them, Blues. This is your time to shine.
Or crash.
Just email us. Right, let's get into it before all hell breaks loose.
So on Tuesday, Liverpool beat Lille 2-1 in the 7th game of the Champions League, and it was a close game, wasn't it, Liam?
Yeah, it was. I watched a few. Oh, obviously, I watched the whole game myself. I did think Lille played exceptionally well up until the red card instance. I do feel like if they did have all players, the draw would have been the correct result. Obviously, Liverpool bounced back and got back in front, and obviously, inevitably went on to win the match.
I mean, Arnie's defence has been very good for us. This is the first goal we've conceded in the Champions League since our first game against Milan.
Yeah, he's come in with a very good defensive style after coaching the Dutch league. He obviously knows how he sets up his teams really well, very well structured, and it's hard for teams to break down their defence, obviously.
I mean, we look at our record against Lille, and we haven't played them a lot. We've got 2 wins and 1 loss. And Lille are a tough side because they, obviously, this year they beat Real Madrid in Champions League and hold Juventus to a draw. So, going into this game, I reckon it was going to be a draw. And obviously, we got lucky. There was that, when Salah scored, there was that little bit of controversy that apparently Shumakas might have fouled David. I personally don't believe it was a tackle or a foul. Do you?
No, well, looking back on it, you clearly see Shumakas did get some sort of the ball. He didn't get the man at all. David made more of a meal of it. That was perceived, but yeah.
Yeah. Comfortable result for Liverpool, sees them still unbeaten in the Champions League with 1 more game to go against PSV, hoping to remain undefeated in the Champions League.
Yeah, well, hopefully PSV provide such a strong performance against the likes of Liverpool, because I think they can be quite classed as the underdog. Yeah, well, the Dutch teams this season have been playing exceptionally well. Like you saw the result the other night with Feyenoord beating Bayern Munich 3-0, which, you would think on paper Bayern Munich should really win that one, with them being a European giant who have won the competition many a times.
Yeah. Well, now we move to what is, I think, game of the Champions League week this week. The Benfica-Barcelona game. What a game. 5-4 to Barcelona. And I mean, you've got to think the XG for these goals, for the people out there that don't know, XG means expected goals. You look at the expected goals, think 3.28 for Benfica and 3.7 for Barcelona. I mean, what a game for football.
Oh, yeah, 100%. It was absolutely end-to-end. Benfica obviously deserved, Barcelona were deserved winners and all of that. I know you could say it was a bit of a controversial penalty towards the end, but I do think the players from Benfica were making a bit more of a meal of it. That's in their nature. They do want to create a bit more of an atmosphere to try and get something out of it. Obviously, the players, obviously at the end of the day, it's the referee's decision whether it's a penalty or not. If the referee says it's not a pen, it's not a pen. And even VAR checked it and said that wasn't a pen. And all credit to Rafinha to run up all the other end of the pitch in what was the last minute of the game to inevitably score the winner.
Yeah, and I mean, nowadays, you don't know whether to celebrate or not because any goal that you could score could be ruled out by VAR.
Yeah, it's hard to celebrate when watching the game that we all love, because one minute you want to celebrate your team winning, but then it could be pegged back for being offside or a foul could have been in the build-up. Personally, I just think it should go back to normal.
Same. I mean, you look at that game and think Barcelona did the comeback so well. They were 4-2 down as well to Benfica. Obviously, Araujo got that own goal and Barcelona came back and did amazing.
Yeah, but you've got to give credit where credit's due to Hansi Flick. He's come into a squad that is lacking funds in the transfer market. And obviously, they can't sign players or register players. You saw recently they struggled to even sign Dani Almo for the league. So it's quite troubling there in terms of their financial sustainability.
Yeah, I mean, they've got amazing results. I mean, you look at the 2 El Clásicos that they've played. I mean, they've smashed Real Madrid.
And rightly so. Let's not forget Barcelona are a top quality side. You just can't sleep, or you can't really sleep on Barcelona because they will punish you.
I mean, what a game for the Champions League this week. Barcelona sits second in the table, clinching their spot in the round of 16. For Benfica, I think they're in the top 8, I think. Not securing their round of 16 position yet, but I think they might. So now we move to the biggest shock, I think, of the Champions League this week. Maybe not the biggest, the second biggest. City losing to PSG 4-2. I mean, you look at this game and think City were dominating, and then they had that 2-goal lead, and I mean, they're giving away a 2-goal lead to PSG. You can't be doing that.
No, you're 100% right, but it's the same. It's been the same story with Man City this season. They just seem to, once they think they get going, they get pegged back. You saw a couple of games back where City have gone in front and then they've ended up either drawing the game or losing the game, which, realistically, that shouldn't really be happening if you're so far ahead.
Yeah.
But is that because Pep's tactics are, I'm not saying he's getting found out, but you can only drill so much into the players where it is now going to become more, every player in the club knows their job role.
Yeah.
Obviously, teams will find a way to beat a manager tactics. That's the harsh reality in football. Manager tactics can work so well. I know Pep's a fantastic manager, and he has been in Spain, Germany, and now obviously England with City. But I think he does need to do something to freshen his tactics up a little bit. Whether that's, well, maybe that also could be down to injuries that City have sustained with having Rodri out injured due to an ACL injury. You could probably say that Rodri holds the glue to Man City's midfield. But then again, Pep should really sign somebody to replace Rodri until Rodri comes back, and then alternate between the pair once he signs a perfect replacement for him.
Yeah. I mean, you look at, there was a stat that actually came up about when City play with Rodri and when they don't play with him, and it definitely says there's a big difference. I mean, when he plays Rodri, they barely concede a goal, but now with him being injured, they're like conceding every single match.
Yeah, because Rodri is such a defensively minded player. He knows what is expected of him. He just sits just in front of that back four, or wherever Pep sends into a back five and has his full backs as wing backs. He knows his job is just to get the ball and get it moving forward as quick as he can and clear it.
Yeah. I mean, you look for City in this game, and they've lost 2 games to PSG, and they've both come in the Champions League. I think there's a little bit of a spiral with City and playing PSG. They're either seeming to draw or lose to them.
Yeah, well, it could be a confidence thing. We're talking about the City who recently won the Champions League. I know the recent leaders of the Champions League is Real Madrid, and hats off to Madrid that they are a good side. But let's not forget City haven't long won the Champions League themselves. So they're now finding their feet in the competition. And I think with this new format, they've sort of struggled with it because they could be playing PSG one week, then they could be playing PSV the next, or they could be playing Young Boys the week after. So they're playing hard opposition, and when they come up against which they think they're going to play in easy opposition, they're not getting the results that they want.
Yeah, this new system seems to have been causing a few problems to clubs, definitely for fitness levels and stuff. Obviously, having to play 8 games now is very much harder, and if you don't make it into the top 8, it's a playoff to get into the round of 16, and it's definitely affected teams' fitness levels for the players, and most of them have been injured.
Yeah, you could obviously say the strain of wanting to compete. But then at the end of the day, if you think about it, footballers get paid a lot of money. And if they're not performing on the pitch, you know what are they doing? I'd love to be sat getting 200 grand a week playing football for 90 minutes.
Yeah. Or not playing whatsoever.
Yeah. But I know they're now moaning with, obviously the players are saying about the congestion, about playing too many matches. But at the end of the day, I know I'm going to say I sound like Roy Keane, but that's their job, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, they're getting paid quite a good lump sum to play football, which I'd probably say most people would love that idea if they follow football. Yeah, it just annoys me when we have the likes of players who don't perform to the top standard, and you're like, well, why you haven't just, to me, watching some players play for Everton, I'm thinking, you're not worth that much money. Why have we paid you that much money a week if you can't perform every week? You're meant to be professional athletes, not, I'd even say semi-pro at times.
Yeah. I mean, game of 2 halves, I think, for City and PSG. City now sit in the last playoff spot with their position in the Champions League at threat. PSG move up 4 places and look to see themselves into the playoff spots. For City, however, it's big a game against Club Brugge because if they lose or draw, they could be out. If they lose, they're definitely out, but if they draw, they might still be able to stay in the competition.
Yeah, I think if City do not qualify for the next round of the Champions League, I think Pep needs to go back to the drawing board, so to speak, within, like I said earlier on, regarding his tactics and how he sets his team up, because obviously it clearly isn't working. Well, yeah.
Well, now I'm going to hand over to you, Liam, to talk about the new manager of yours, David Moyes, coming back for another term. Could talk about his recent games for Everton. Obviously, only played 2.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's a new manager. It's good to have him back. I, for one, thought it was a sensible decision by the board to bring back a manager who knows the club, knows the fans, and just knows what it feels to be player for Everton and what the fans want. I personally want, when I watched them growing up, I remember the likes of Tim Cahill, Arteta, I know he's now the Arsenal manager, or Duncan Ferguson. I remember watching them, and they all played with like the heart on the sleeve. They never backed out of a challenge, or they were just intense. The intensity was there. You just knew what you were going to get with an Everton squad. You could go to Bournemouth or City away, knowing that we might get a draw, we might nick a win. On the rare occasion, we would get a loss, but we would go there to fight, just gain some sort of points to propel us up the table. When Moyes was with us, we were constantly in Europe. So I think that's what we've been lacking, is a manager that sort of can get us into the European spots and bring back some sort of belief in the players. I'm not saying Sean Dyche didn't have belief in the players, but to watch that football week in, week out was absolutely diabolical. There was nothing moving forward, but we just invited the pressure in. I, for one, I'd rather we went tight, went close to a man, pushed them a bit further the pitch, to isolate the midfield and just have a little bit more of a go at them rather than them have a go at us. Because that's what I felt at times. We've wanted the likes of Salah or Haaland. We've been like, come on, yeah, you can have a go at us. We'll let you have a go at us. We'll just defend it. And, watching the Bournemouth game and the Forest game I'd rather paint a wall and watch that dry than watching that. But maybe that might have been Dyche's tactics, but yeah.
You look at your 2 games with David Moyes back. Obviously, your first game was the one they lost to Villa. And then obviously you beat Spurs 3-2 and you were up 3-0 at half time.
Yeah, I watched the Villa game and I instantly thought that you always say when we get a new manager, it's always that manager bounce. And I do feel there was more of a manager bounce in that Villa game. I know some Everton fans might disagree with that one, but I thought we were a bit more energetic going forward. Calvert-Lewin had a bit more of a chance. There was a couple of chances which I think he should have buried, but he didn't. But yeah, I could see there was something that he worked. Bear in mind, David Moyes had only been with the squad for 2 days before we had Villa. So, there was nothing he could do. Nothing more, he could coach them within 2 days. So at least after the Villa game, he knew what players he could trust or what players he'd be like, all right, can they do this? Can they do that? And to be honest with you, the Tottenham game, if you said to me before half-time, before the match, that we would be 3-0 up before half-time and we would go on to win it, I'd say you're having a laugh. Because Tottenham are a very good side, whether the position that they're in says different, because I know they're only about, 4 points, 5 points above us in the Premier League. They're on 26, and we're on 20. Well, obviously now that we beat them, we're on 20. It's just, personally, I would have thought it was a lot more of a strong performance in terms of the players wants to be there. I just think towards the end we lacked that concentration for the last 10, 20 minutes, where you saw for Richarlison's goal, Keane, as the ball's whipped in, Michael Keane, back post, he's in a no man's land, deer within the headlights. He sort of just lost a lack of concentration where his man was, and Richarlison, former Everton player, nips in to make it 3-2.
Well, now I'm going to talk about Arne Slot, and obviously I'll let you have your opinion as well, Liam. Our last 5 games on the Slot, we've had 3 wins, 1 draw and 1 loss. Obviously, that draw coming to Forest 1-1, and then the loss in the Cup to Spurs 1-0. Just found out actually that we've got the best defence in the Premier League now. We passed Arsenal, and we have only conceded 20 goals this season. I mean, that's a big thing for Liverpool, because we're usually a team that concedes goals and bounce back in the second half. The stats show that we've gained the most points from conceding a goal first and then coming back and winning. And I mean, Arnie's been one of the best managers so far. I mean, there was definitely that period where, when we announced that Arnie was going to be our new manager, there was that period where us Liverpool fans and other fans, obviously, of different clubs were saying, oh, is he going to be as good as Klopp? Is he going to live up to the stats that Klopp lived up to? And there was obviously that period earlier on in the season where we had those massive 10 games, and that everyone was saying, oh, we're going to lose so many points, the games against Madrid, Arsenal and stuff. And we actually proved that we could silence the doubters and prove that we were actually a good team on the Slot.
Yeah, you couldn't have got a better replacement for Klopp, could you really? Obviously, he was the manager of PS3, wasn't he?
Yeah, the final.
Of Feyenoord, yeah. Of Feyenoord. Got them mixed up. The badges look very similar. I'm going to get roasted for that, aren't I? But, his style of play is a lot similar to Klopp's, so, it is more or less a copy and paste system. I'd say, I think with Slot, you're a lot more defensive, obviously, because you only conceded, 20 goals, was it?
Yeah, 20 goals.
So obviously he's better. He's obviously more defensively minded than he is going forward. But obviously you've got the players for the forward options, i.e. Salah, Jota, Diaz, Nunez. I do think going back to the Lille game in the Champions League, when I do watch it a couple of times, when I can cope to watch it, God, I do think you lack sometimes that quickness on the ball in the final third. You should be punishing teams left, right, and centre with the pace you've got. But I feel like against Lille, you should have been blowing them out the water. But there was times where you're very slow to get the ball up to the forwards or, in the middle of the park.
Yeah. You look at the chances that we've had. I mean, the games like Brentford and stuff where it was 0-0 and we honestly thought, oh, it's going to be a draw, we're going to lose. And obviously, slot ball on Nunez. And Nunez is that type of player that a lot of people think, oh, he's definitely missing easy chances. But other Liverpool fans have said that we can't doubt Nunes. We can't say, oh, he's going to miss, because obviously he came in, scored 2 goals to win the game for us.
Yeah, what more would you want from your striker? You know, at the end of the day, your strikers score goals, and he clearly did. Well, that's what every team wants from the striker. They want the striker to score goals. Unfortunately, that's when your team doesn't perform. Like, I know we've struggled at times coming up. I know we're going off topic because we're done on Nunes and then now talk back to Everton. But if your striker isn't scoring, you look to your midfield or your wingers, and then obviously set pieces, you look for your centre half, you know, your big Van Dijks to score goals and chip in. But realistically, every team needs a decent striker. And I do think Nunes will become better with every game. He gets more confidence from Arne Slot.
Yeah. We're now going to talk about the upcoming games for both Liverpool and Everton. First, we're going to talk about Liverpool. And obviously, we got Ipswich actually tomorrow at the time of recording this episode. Obviously, first game of the season in August, we beat them 2-0 at their ground. I mean, them coming to Anfield after getting a battering at home to City, I mean, it's going to be a tough game for Ipswich. I mean, we've only played them 6 times, and we've got 5 wins, 1 loss. It's going to be a lot of Liverpool fans are going to expect us to batter them, but I don't think that's going to be the way. I think we're going to get maybe like a 3-1 win or a 2-0 win again against them. What's your opinion on it, Liam?
I think it might be. I think it'll be like the Brentford game. It'll be I think they've done a lot more defensive work during the week, which, you know, if they haven't already after that thumping from City, I'll be quite surprised. Because if you're a team and you're getting tonked, was it 8-0? 6-0?
6-0, I think.
6-0? God. To pick yourself back up and go into the training ground the first thing Monday morning going, oh God, we've been battered by City. How can we rectify it? The only way you rectify it is, right, who's our next game? Oh God, it's a Liverpool. So what I would do is, if I was Ipswich, I'd get some video analysis on the go and go, right, where did we go wrong defensively and how can we improve it? Could be the simple mistake of making a 5-yard pass, and, you know, I know that could be, people might go, well, that's so simple, yeah, but you need to get in football as a manager, as I've been myself. It's always the simple things you need to perfect before you start adding a bit more complexity to it.
It's definitely going to be a game that I think Liverpool are going to attack a lot, and I think we're going to get the goals to win the game, but I think it's going to be one of those games where it's going to be sloppy at the start, but then we're going to improve. I mean, it depends who we start striker, because you've got so many options to play. Nunes, Jota, Gakpo, Diaz. Diaz has been moving more up to the central position now. And obviously we're going to have Robertson playing. He missed out the game in the Champions League. Don't know whether Konate's going to be back or not. I don't think he is. But it's going to be a good game. Liverpool against Ipswich. Now we're going to move to you, Liam. We're going to talk about Everton's game against Brighton. Obviously, your last win against Brighton was in 2023 with a 5-1 win. Since then, you've drawn games and lost them. What's your perspective on this game going into Brighton?
I'd love us to win. I mean, obviously, every fan wants to win, don't they? But obviously, Brighton, you can never write Brighton off. It just depends what team it feels on the day. You know, their manager is very young. He's very enthusiastic. He knows what he wants from his players. I think it'll be a tough one in terms of, I think there will be goals. There will be goals scored from either side. It's hard to predict what the final score would be, but I'm gonna say Everton win personally, because I think, even though they've got a very young squad, I know we've only got a very short squad. I think we've only got like 14 players, 12 players 14 players in the squad. In our first team, I think at the minute, because obviously we've got a few injuries ourselves, the likes of James Garner, who's, I've just read before that he's coming back from injury. He's come back from injury. He's trained on grass. We've got a very vast, experienced squad, and we know how to dictate the play. You know, we saw against, like you said, we just come back with a 3-2 win over Tottenham. If that doesn't give our team confidence, then what does give our team confidence?
Well, now we're going to go into our predictions for the weekend matches. We're going to be doing this every week, depending on whether there is Premier League matches on the weekend or not. First of all, we're going to start with Saturdays. First game is Bournemouth versus Forest. For me, this is going to be a tough game. Two good teams, two good managers as well. Forest, obviously, coming off their draw against Liverpool. Decent draw, to be honest. And obviously, they've got their win. I can't remember whether they won or lost. But yeah, it's going to be a tough game. And I think Forest are going to snatch it. I think a 2-1 win for Forest.
See, now I think it's going to be a 2-2 because I think Chris Woody's been on fire this season. You can never write Forest. I don't think you can write Forest off this season. But are they Forest like the Leicester we had in 2015 where they miraculously picked up form? And obviously, I'm not saying Forest will win the league, but they're certainly playing really good football at the minute. But how long will that be able to last? Who knows? It is like a clash of titans the weekend between the pair of them because they're both playing such good football at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, the next game is Brighton-Everton. You've already touched on this, Liam. For me, I think this is going to be another close game as well. I think Brighton, though, going to snatch a win. I think it's going to be a 1-0 win for Brighton.
I'm going to say 2-1 Everton, purely because I'm being biased.
Well, the next one is another biased one for me, Liverpool-Ipswich. I touched on this. I think it's going to be either a 2-0 win or a 3-1 win.
So you can't have two predictions?
Yeah, I can.
No, you can't. Pick one.
Fine, 3-1.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say 0-0.
Of course you are.
No, because I honestly do think if it's a game for them to bounce back and showcase their talent within the squad, I do think it would be against Jews, and I do think they might just nick a 0-0 or even, I'm sticking with the guns, 0-0.
Well, there comes the rivalry already between Liverpool and Everton, both wanting each team to either draw or lose. Next game is Southampton-Newcastle. This is a big game. These two teams are big. This is going to be a good game. I reckon someone's getting sent off in this game.
What do you reckon, Ramsdale?
This game, I'm going to go... I mean, obviously, Isak's in form for Newcastle, and he's always seeming to be in form. Isak and Gordon are always in form for Newcastle. Southampton, 19th.
And those are in form for us.
Southampton, I think, are sat 19th or 18th in the league. I'm going to go...
I thought Southampton were bottom, weren't they?
Nah, Ipswich at bottom, I think. I'm going to go 4-1 Newcastle.
See, I'm going to say 3-0 Newcastle.
I reckon Southampton can get a goal.
No. Newcastle's defence is solid. Yeah, you've got Dan Burn at centre-half, who's the heart of that defence.
Yeah, but we've seen Newcastle get exposed at the back. I mean, look at us, Liverpool versus Newcastle, where Van Dijk got sent off. Look who came on and exposed their defence, Núñez.
Very, very true.
The next one's another big game as well. Wolves versus Arsenal. It's big for the title race as well. I mean, Arsenal, second in the league, 6 points off us. They need to keep applying that pressure. If we lose, they need to win. If we draw, they need to win. It's going to be a close game, and I do think Arsenal are going to go win. I think Kai Havertz is going to get back to his form than what he was against United. I mean, that game was awful for him. Jeez.
Oh, I know. But I think it's one of the games he's got to just put in the back of his head now and go, right, how can I go forward, be the best player I can be now? Obviously, the thing with Havertz, though, he has loads of chances. If he finishes them, he's flying. But he's not had a very good string of luck, has he really? Just to touch on your thing, who did you say was bottom of the league?
I think Ipswich.
Nope, Southampton on 6 points. They're on course as the worst team in Premier League if they don't get it. They don't get about, I think there's a 12 points that Derby got when they were in the league. So, it's a bit tough on that one. But come on, only 6 points out of 22 games? That's shocking, that. Anyway, Wolves and the Arsenal, my prediction. I think it'll be a tough one, 1-0. 1-0 Arsenal.
Oh, I think I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal. I think Arsenal snatch a goal late on.
I'm saying 1-0. But let's be honest, Wolves are the team as well. You don't know what team's going to turn up. One week they could turn out like prime Barcelona, the next they could turn out like prime Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, okay. Next game, I think, is game of the week for the Premier League. We got Manchester City versus Chelsea. This is going to be a good game.
It's a tough one, that, because it's student versus master, isn't it? Because Maresca was understudy to Pep Guardiola when he was at City, so I can see City dropping points, so I'm going to say 1-1.
Well,
I think it'll be a very boring game to watch, though. Even though you've said it is the game of the Premier League for this weekend, I do think that will be the most boringest game to watch.
yeah. Well, I back Cole Palmer, captain in my fantasy team this week. Hopefully he can do something. I'm going to go 3-1 Chelsea.
Interesting.
Well, now we move to Sunday's games. We got 4 games on Sunday. First is Palace versus Brentford.
Oh, Palace. We don't start with them. Oh, God. They're a good team. They've been good this season. Mateta's obviously coming back into his form again. Someone's telling me Palace 2-1.
That's good. I mean, you can tell Mateta's coming back in form, but you look at Eze, for example, he is not performing as what he was doing last season.
No, he's not, but I do think that's also because his counterpart is playing for Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
So he hasn't got that player to link off with him.
Yeah. My prediction, do you know what? I'm going to go 2-2.
Okay. The game of Gary Lineker, this, isn't it? Who does he support? Spurs or Leicester? Oh.
I mean, this is tough.
And as much as I don't want Spurs to win, because that means we have to win more games to go above them in the league table, I'm going to have to say Spurs should win this one, so I'm going to say 3-0 Spurs.
Okay.
Madison to score first. We always have.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I'm going to go closer. I'm going to go 2-1. I think Leicester go up first. I think Vardy scores.
Yeah, I think the celebration should be just passing down a can of Red Bull after balls.
Next one's also a big game. It's Aston Villa versus West Ham.
Is it a big game though? Aston Villa should be really winning this one.
Yeah, but you can't write off West Ham even.
Yeah, you can.
They're in bad form. If
you've also think they've got Potter now, haven't they? So they're going to do busy well now, I think. I'm going to say 1-1.
I think if Watkins and Rodgers and Emi Martinez go out in top form, they get the win. I think 3-1 win for Villa.
I'm saying 1-1.
Yeah. Then the final game of the Premier League this week, Fulham versus Man United.
Let's see if that's tough one, because you think about it, all the quality that United have got in terms of they've got Hoyler, they've got Xerxes, they've got Fernandes, they've got Martinez, they've got De Ligt. You can't say Onana because he just lets him go every week. But then you look at Fulham now, they've got some good players. They've got Smith Rowe, they've got Iwobi.
Yeah.
They've got, they've got a good side. Well, United got beat by Brighton, didn't they? 3-1 last weekend. I'm going to say Fulham nick it 1-0.
I mean, yeah, you look at United, that they only managed 2-1 win against Rangers yesterday in the Europa League. And Rangers are a tough side, but then they're a side that you can't, if they don't turn up, you can easily expose them and beat them. But United couldn't do that. They only won 2-1. I think United don't turn up for this game. I think 2-0 win for Fulham.
Yeah, I'm going to say 1-0 Fulham. But if they do lose, I think Amarin's only coming halfway through season, retrospectively, hasn't he, replacing Ten Hag. I think there'll be a lot of, I can see in the summer there'll be a lot of clearing the deadwood, should we speak, of getting rid of players that he doesn't really want or has very negative energy. You see Rashford, he could be going out either on loan or he could be sold in the summer transfer window.
Yeah. There were rumours of him actually going to PSG, but because PSG have now signed Kvaratskhelia, I don't think that's going to be happening.
No, maybe it's that because did the whole talks with Rashford? Did Rashford not come across quite nice to them? Because to be honest, if Rashford, to me, yeah, he does a lot of charity work, be the greatest guy on the planet. But what's he like as a person to play football with? Could he be a bit more arrogant? Could he be a bit more, I want the ball now? Every time you get the ball, you must pass to me. Or was he more like a team player, like which I think Kvaratskhelia is? Because he can, Kvaratskhelia is a team player and he gives them 100% as all for the team. But yeah.
I mean, I think there's a good chance that he goes to Napoli now that they've sold Kvaratskhelia. I think he'd suit all right into the Napoli system, but obviously Napoli right now are doing all right.
I wouldn't go to Napoli if I was Rashford because he'll be competing with Romelu Lukaku, who is on form for Napoli. If I was to pick anything for Rashford to go in the Serie A, I would go for Juventus. They're crying out for a world class striker. I'm not saying Rashford's world class. What I'm saying is they're crying out for a striker that can sort of win them the game. You know, they haven't won the league in what 5 years since Ronaldo left them? 4 or 5 years? In that time, you see Milan win it, or both Milans win it, Napoli win it. You know, if I'm a Juventus fan, I'm sitting there going, what does our team need to do? Yeah. And I know they brought back, what's his name? Oh, the old Juventus manager. Oh, that's going to do my head in.
My mind's gone.
Allegri, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when Allegri came in, they brought him back on it. I think most Juventus fans thought that they were going to bring instant success back to the club. But obviously, it's not the same. Well, the league isn't the same when Allegri left. You know, the ideal, I don't know who the manager of Juventus is now, but for me, the ideal replacement for the manager of Juventus, if they choose to sack him, would be Zidane. I know, I don't know whether he would go to Juventus. Zidane, I don't know whether he wants to be back in management, but I'd say he's the ideal candidate for the Juventus job if the manager does get sacked.
Yeah. Or, as we know with most players when they get older, Saudi Arabia could snatch up Marcus Rashford.
Yeah, but can't even play in the Saudi League either. It doesn't really appeal to me. I know loads of players go there for the money, but it just doesn't sound appealing.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, yes, because it's the culture and the setting and the view that you get when you're in America is probably amazing. Saudi Arabia, nice piece of sand. Okay. What's that? Oh, that's a camel. Okay. It's a different contrast.
And obviously it'd be quite good to watch Rashford go up against Messi, Suarez, Busquets, Alaba.
Yeah. There would be, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's it for our first ever episode. We look forward to this weekend's matches. So, can Liverpool extend their lead at the top?
And will the heart of Everton fans get an extended belief? We will find out this weekend.
We'll be dropping new episodes every Friday, so remember to follow us on your chosen platform, leave us a rating, and follow us on social media to stay up to date. From me, Corey, up the Reds.
And from me, Liam, up the Toffees.